Day baseball. It's the St. Louis Cardinals back home at Busch Stadium, and this afternoon begins a 7-game homestand in the first of 4 against the San Francisco Giants. Join Major League Baseball in helping those veterans that have done so much to help us. Log on to MLB.com or welcomebackveterans.org for more information on how you can make a difference. And along with Rick Horton, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Welcome to Cardinals Baseball. It's good to be back home. We'll talk about the road trip in just a moment, but first things first, most importantly, Memorial Day baseball, great tie-in, and we're expecting a lot of fun this afternoon.
Yeah, it's such an important day, Dan. Of course, we're honoring those who served and have served our country. It's also a great family day for a lot of people, and part of the Cardinal family that we want to honor today is Red Schoendienst. He's one of the greatest Cardinals of all time. Red was an outstanding player. We know that, a great manager. He also served in World War II with his 3 brothers. One was in the Pacific, the others in the European theater. Red Schoendienst, part of our family and part of our Memorial Day celebration.
And on the road trip now, talking a little baseball, the Cardinals out for 9 games, 10 days. They go 6-3. Very good road trip.
Yeah, 1, 2 out of 3 in each city. A lot of great things happened in that road trip. There's the record, 6-3. Salas, 4 for 4 in save opportunities. Of course, John Jay swinging a hot bat. Daniel Descalzo, 2 game-winning hits. Albert ends his homerless drought at 105. We'd like to see him do a little bit more today.
Back with more in just a moment as we get you set for baseball. Albert on this day has been tremendous. We'll tell you what we mean when we come back. Of Memorial Day here this afternoon. San Francisco, St. Louis first pitch in just a moment. And this is Albert Pujols' special day in recent history.
Well, he's hit a lot of home runs on the 30th of May. Of course, it's not always Memorial Day. Maybe the stars are aligned here. 2 home runs in 2009. The Cardinals beat the Giants that year. And in 2010, a 3 home run day in Wrigley Field for Albert. Wouldn't Cardinal fans love to see that home run swing back on track?
The Giants and Cardinals, they've already seen each other this year. Some changes, though, with the Giants. We'll talk about that when we come back. Earlier this year, a couple of real heartbreaking losses early on.
Yeah, 2 walk-off losses for the Cardinals. Aaron Rowan delivered on the first night, and the following night, it was the veteran Miguel Tejada sending the Cardinals home a loser again. The Cardinals managed to win the 3rd game of that series, but this is a very different Giant team than the one we saw early on.
And it's part of our first take, brought to you by First Bank. Buster Posey done for the year. Pablo Sandoval also out with a broken hand.
And this is not a great offense for San Francisco, so they miss these guys terribly. They are getting some offense, however, out of Freddie Sanchez.
And Freddie Sanchez will bat 3rd in the lineup for Bruce Bochy here this afternoon. We'll take a look at the division leaders around Major League Baseball when we come back. Baseball. The Giants and Cardinals today on Fox Sports Midwest. A third of the way through this season. These are your division leaders. Rick, out of this group, who do you like?
A couple of surprises in this group. The Indians and the Diamondbacks off to great starts. But the team that is my pick is in the National League East, the Philadelphia Phillies. Ryan Howard, part of the reason on the offensive side. Chase Utley is back. But the pitching is outstanding. Roy Halladay, one of the best in the game. Raul Ibanez also provides some spark, but Cliff Lee, the left-hander, balances out a great Phillies rotation.
Memorial Day, close to a sold-out crowd here this afternoon. Busch Stadium, baseball, next. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. By Chevy. See your Mid-America Chevy dealers. By Southwest Airlines. New Rapid Rewards. Unlimited reward seats and no blackout dates. By Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. #1 in quality tires and expert auto service. And by Steak and Shake. Life needs flavor. A hot day here in downtown St. Louis as we get you set for baseball. We understand that the walk-up crowd may make this a sellout here today. And folks have taken advantage of the dynamic pricing. That's good to hear. Southwest Airlines Giants starting lineup. Andres Torres, Miguel Tejada, and Freddie Sanchez, a former batting champ. Then Huff, Ross, and Rowan. Crawford, Whiteside, Bumgarner, the pitcher. And there's a look at the St. Louis and Kyle McClellan.
Kyle McClellan going for his 7th victory of the season. Danny had 3 years to get 7 victories out of the bullpen. Has a chance to go 7-1 today. The ERA is good. He's kept the Cardinals in almost every one of his starts. And you notice the Cardinals wearing their special hats today on Memorial Day.
And the defense behind Kyle this afternoon presented by Dobbs. Good to see Matt Holliday back in there. He's in left. Descalso, Terrio, Craig, and Pujols along the infield and the battery today. McClellan and Yadier Molina. There's a look at Tony La Russa and his club playing very good baseball. They own the most wins on the road in the major leagues. They're 18-13 and back here at home 14-9 and overall 10 games above 500 and a lead in the Central of 2.5 over Milwaukee.
This is a Giants team that's reeling a bit. They lost their best player in Buster Posey, and they're trying to figure out a way to get some offense.
This is Andres Torres, the center fielder. Great speed, and because of that speed, Descalso playing in over at third. Calling balls and strikes, it's Andy Fletcher. Mike DeMuro at first, Jim Reynolds at second. The crew chief down at third is Tim Welke. 3 balls and no strikes as McClellan looks into the home plate umpire, and I don't blame him. A couple of those pitches look pretty good. Three and 1. 90 degrees our game time temperature. The next two, Torres. Slowly hit left side. Descalso cuts it off and fires a strike to Pujols. And that's how we start the ball game. It brings in the longtime major leaguer Miguel Tejada.
Tejada's still a dangerous bat, not the player he used to be, but he has occasional power. And a big hit against the Cardinals in that first series in San Francisco. He had a game winner there. Played some shortstop. Now he's forced to play some third base with Sandoval out as well. 2 big bats out of this lineup.
Terrio deep in the hole. Long throw. Not in time as Tejada is aboard. And Tejada thought about going to second. He'll stop there. High chopper over the third baseman deep in the hole, and a very tough chance there for the Cardinals shortstop.
Descalso couldn't get it. Long throw for Terrio. Has to short hop Albert, and he's not able to come up with it. If Albert could have dug that one, it might have been out number 2. It looked like it might have hit on the lip of the grass and the dirt right in front of the first base bag, making it a tough chance for Albert.
Tejada no longer a threat to steal. No stolen bases last year. The year before that, he was 2 of 5. So here's Freddie Sanchez, the former Pirate. Time is called. Sanchez is batting .302, 2 home runs, and he's driven in 17. As we told you just a couple of moments ago, he's probably been their hottest bat. He's hit safely in 12 of the last 13. 6 doubles and 6 RBIs, and over that stretch hitting .423 for Bruce Bochy.
The one thing we've seen about Sanchez over the years, he uses the whole field. You hit the ball to right field, pull the ball up the middle, and really that's what your classic great hitter does. Uses the whole field, hits the ball where it's pitched. There's the defense behind Kyle McClellan, giving him a gap in left center field, almost daring him to pull the ball. So my guess is the Cardinals are going to try to pitch him away, play him away.
The 2-0 is chopped to short. Terrio backs up on it, out at second. And safe at first as Tejada takes out Alan Craig. It's pretty hard baseball right there by Miguel Tejada. Clean as he took out Alan Craig.
Well, it's the inexperience of Alan Craig right here. He has trouble getting the ball out of his glove, and he doesn't get out of the way. He just lets Tejada kind of roll him. Nothing dirty about that play. But he's just not able to really get rid of the ball and get up and get out of the way, because the ball was stuck in his glove.
Also, was a tough read for Terrio. Do you come in on that play or go back? Initially he started in, then he got a better hop by going back, but in doing so that gives that base runner down from home plate to first a couple extra steps.
And as long as you have an inexperienced second baseman, you're just thankful to get one out, frankly. Get an out, be safe, don't try to do too much and end up with second and third by throwing the ball away.
2-0 on Aubrey Huff. Was one of the heroes last year for San Francisco. This season off to a slow start. .224, 4 home runs. He's driven in 23. A 2-0 pitch. In the air. Shallow left center. Rasmus under it makes the catch. Cardinals coming up in their half of the first on Memorial Day. And there's no score. look at the Soldiers Memorial, which is right up the street of Market, very close to Scott Trade Center here in downtown St. Louis. As we salute those that protect us and have protected us. A look at Tony La Russa's lineup here today, brought to you by Southwest Airlines with Terrio, Craig, and Pujols, followed by Holiday, Berkman, and Rasmus, Molina, Descalso, and the pitcher, Kyle McClellan. Well, the numbers are a bit misleading for Madison Bumgarner, and the reason why is that he has zero support from his offense.
Not much offense for him, but he's getting the quality starts. 6 straight quality starts. The ERA's not bad. He just can't pick up the victories. 1-6 after an outstanding rookie season. He's just 21 years of age, a very unassuming left-hander from a small town in North Carolina.
Bumgarner, there's been so much focus on him when he first got to the big leagues and in the minor leagues with his velocity. At times he was a guy that was in that high velocity range, and then it dropped, and people thought, well, is he hurt? And a lot of people will tell you he's just learning to pitch and trying to extend innings.
And you're going to see some velocity variance with a young pitcher. We saw it in Jason Mott when he first came up, throwing high 90s, then inexplicably throwing 92, then he got it back again. A little bit of it is a function of their comfort with their mechanics. Maybe throwing more innings than he's ever thrown in his life is another factor, and learning how to pace himself.
When he was brought up, he was just 20 years of age when he made his major league debut.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about him, Dan, he's from Hickory, North Carolina, and one of the favorite little pieces of info about him is when he got married, his wife gave him a steer as a wedding gift. I find that very funny.
Well, a lot of the Cardinals would appreciate that. I know that.
Yes, they would.
I'm sure many in our viewing audience would as well. Let's meet the defense here for the Giants with Rowan, Torres, and Ross in the outfield. Tejada, Crawford, Sanchez, and Huff along the infield. Eli Whiteside is your catcher today. That's brought to you by Dobbs. Take a look at that outfield for Bruce Bochy. You've got a guy in Aaron Rowan that is a very good center fielder playing left. They like the speed of Torres in center, and then Cody Ross in right.
Yeah, Rowan may be the best center fielder in the National League, and he's not even playing there. And you look at the speed that you've got in that outfield, but also very good arms. Bruce Bochy knows that that's a valuable thing to have. Pitching and defense, they go together, and if the Giants are going to win again, it's going to be because of pitching and defense. Their offense, not one of the best in the National League.
Alan Craig is hitting .321 this year in 32 games, and another start at second base this afternoon. The Cardinals will live with the defense that you might get with an Alan Craig, an inexperienced second baseman, as long as you produce.
If you give up 1, you drive in 2, you're still ahead.
Little floater to the right side, and that drops in for a strike. Aubrey Huff trying to chase that down, and the count is even now. 2 balls and 2 strikes with 1 out, nobody on. But you can see with Craig trying to turn that double play, still not all that comfortable at second base, and trying to learn at the major league level is so tough to do.
Well, we knew it took Skip Schumacher an entire season for him to get good at playing second base. In fact, he was a lot better than we thought he would be. It's not an easy position to learn.
The 2-2 hammered out to left center field. Extra bases here for Alan Craig. All the way to the wall. Craig to second. He'll stop there standing up. A 1-out double for the Cardinals second baseman.
Ball just jumps off the bat of Alan Craig. The ball's going to carry very well today. Noticed in batting practice, the warmer weather, the ball is traveling. This pitch up and away, not the location Bumgarner was hoping for. And Craig just hammers it in the left center. Very simple swing too, Dan, but hit it right on the nose.
And now it's Pujols. As you talked about in our open, Albert snapped that homerless streak at 105 in San Diego. First pitch is taken for a ball. We talk about May 30th. This is his day. When you talk about Albert Pujols.
4 years in a row, he's homered on this date. including 3 against the Cubs last year. He likes the important days, Dan.
He does. 1-0 is popped up. Huff shading from the sun and makes the catch. The 2 starters here today are fairly similar in their pitching numbers, but the difference, look at the run support. The lefty Bumgarner with only 15, McClellan 41.
Well, it's hard to win when your team doesn't score, clearly, and Bumgarner has been on the short end of the stick way too often, 1-6 with that excellent ERA, and proved himself to be a winner, not just his rookie season last year, but he was also 2-0 in 4 games in postseason play. So he matured pretty quickly, and I'm sure this 1-6 record is another test for this young pitcher.
Holiday back in the lineup for St. Louis. Boy, he just changes the way that this offense looks when you have the big 3 of Pujols, Holiday here, and Berkman on deck.
I didn't get a chance to ask Tony before the game. I wanted to ask him the question, how much fun was it to write Holiday on the lineup today? I know what the answer would be. He just knows that this sets up the lineup so much better, both in front of him and behind.
Holiday, ground ball to short. And he's retired. Alec Craig with a double, then left stranded. And there's no score. Connect. A lot of great gizmos on FoxSportsMidwest.com, presented by Jack in the Box. It's a true second screen experience, and you can follow stat trends for players, interact via Twitter, and keep up with the game in real time. Game Connect, presented by Jack in the Box, and find it all at FoxSportsMidwest.com.
Gizmos, you say?
A lot of great gizmos on that screen at FoxSportsMidwest.com. Here's Cody Ross. Ross, the right fielder, batting .233. And again, McClellan falling behind, 2 balls and no strikes. Ross here, and then Rowan and Crawford, the shortstop. In the air, deep left center field. Rasmus back, he'll look up, and that ball is gone. Cody Ross with his 4th home run. He now has 12 RBIs, and it's a 1-0 San Francisco lead. On a 2-0 pitch, hammers it out to left center for a 1-0 lead.
That's the 8th home run that McClellan has given up this season. That's far and away higher than any other Cardinal. Actually, he does tie Chris Carpenter, who also has 8. He's given up some long ones, but you don't mind if they're solo shots. And that was evidence right there, Dan, of the ball carrying very well. He hit that on the screws, but that ball went way out in left center field. We haven't seen a ball go out there very often in 2011.
Here is Rowan. A study of ballparks recently, it said that Busch Stadium actually was more of a pitcher's ballpark than a hitter's ballpark, but certainly among the players that were polled, taking the numbers away, they all felt that it was a fair ballpark too.
I think the things that come into consideration there are not only the length of the fences, but how much the ball carries and how much foul territory you have. I think there's a little more foul territory here than we see in some parks. And I think that saves pitchers a lot of runs over the long haul.
Packed house today here at Busch Stadium. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Aaron Rowan. Pulls it, and it's a foul ball. Just past Descalso, but foul. You know, Cody Ross hits that home run. A resurgence of sorts for him, especially in postseason play last year. You get a look at this, just foul. He was the NLCS MVP. You think about Ross, a guy that was kind of lost with Florida 2 years ago. Career best 24 home runs, and now it's Rowan. The 2-2 pitch. Blew it right by him. First strikeout for Kyle McClellan here this afternoon.
Good movement on the fastball from Kyle McClellan. That movement a lot healthier and more significant when he's ahead in the count. He's going to need to change that around here. He's been behind too many hitters early going, but he's just down 1-0. You mentioned Cody Ross. How about the ovation he got in San Francisco on their opening day? I mean, yeah. He's become almost a cult hero there.
He was saying before the game, he was in a restaurant this offseason, and he said he couldn't believe that people actually knew who he was. He said, I've never been noticed ever playing in the minor leagues or big leagues. And he said, I walk into a restaurant and I get a standing ovation.
That's what playing in October does for you.
Yes, it does. Crawford lines out to left center, and it brings in Eli Whiteside. Whiteside, the catcher, trying to fill in now for Buster Posey. You know, one of the names that we have not mentioned, too, is Mark DeRosa, the former Cardinal, who again is dealing with ligament issues in his wrist.
DL's pretty extensive for San Francisco. We've already talked about Sandoval, Posey, and now you mentioned DeRosa, but also Barry Zito, Mike Fontenot on the disabled list. So they've got a pretty good core of players not eligible to play. The Cardinals, we know who we've got. Punto, Freeze, Laird, all out on the disabled list, and of course Adam Wainwright all year long. And sometimes you've got to win with what you've got.
That's it out of play. And it's 1 ball and 2 strikes on the 8th place hitter in this lineup. Two and 2. Ground ball to short, taken there by Terrio. The Ross home run measured at 438 feet. It's 1-0. System. Great deals for games throughout 2011. This week, a double play dynamic deal. Bleacher seats for this series, $18, and terrace seats for only $9. Get your tickets at Cardinals.com. I want to remind folks, too, that for Sunday, Cardinals have asked us to pass it along that you make sure and remember that Sunday's game against the Cubs is not a night game. It is a day game. It has not been moved to a national telecast, and there are $29 seats available. Handful of those available still for Sunday afternoon, and also the Legends Club as well. But great crowd here today. Huge walk up, and we understand it's close to being sold out, if not a sellout by the time we're all said and done.
Well, the weather's certainly getting better in the Midwest and really around the country too, so I think the crowds are going to continue to grow. And it really does help that the Cardinals have a great and exciting product in 2011. Good
that's
pitching.
The key. I mean, you win, and as you said, exciting. And they've had some great wins late in games.
They're not out of any game. They have an exciting bullpen, a couple of great young arms pitching in the 8th and 9th innings, starting pitching solid. And Lance Berkman, almost by himself, has created some energy in St. Louis. Not that St. Louis needs baseball energy, but the infusion of Lance Berkman into this lineup and into this clubhouse has just been more than anybody could have asked for.
1 ball and 2 strikes here on Berkman. Well, here we are at that third of the way season point, and we're talking about the division leaders. If he had to give an MVP of the National League, I'm not saying that he would win it, but he'd be in that conversation right now.
Well, he's the top 3 for sure. They don't give that award, but that would be nice, wouldn't it?
Sure would.
Wonder if Kyle Loesch would be in the top 3 of the third of the way through the season Cy Young.
In the air to right field, as Loesch picked up win number 7 yesterday, most in the National League. By the way, that home run by Cody Ross, the 6th longest home run by an opponent here at Busch Stadium. 6th longest.
Alan Craig hit a ball roughly the same spot during batting practice. Dan, I was actually standing by the cage, and he hit it good, but it was amazing the way the ball was carrying. Now, we've seen a lot of fly balls die at the warning track in the early going.
Weather related.
I think it's all weather related, and I think we're going to see a whole new kind of offensive explosion over the next couple of weeks, especially here at home.
On a hop, 2 hops to second base, and Sanchez. Rasmus retired. And 2 outs, and it brings in the catcher, Yadier Molina. Adam Wainwright with the team, and there is Nick Punto on the right, Wainwright on the left. And Punto, it doesn't seem like anytime soon, Rick, that he's going to be coming back.
How valuable was he when he was playing, though? His defense, pesky hitter, and also versatile. Plays a lot of places.
I think everyone around the club, and talking with Tony La Russa and John Mozeliak, loved his glove. Give you stability in late innings, for instance, if you're going to start an Alan Craig, that you'd have a chance to put a Punto in there. Shallow center, and the catch is made by Torres. Jim Hayes, the news of the day, coming up next. This Memorial Day is brought to you by the Stadium Sports Bar and Grill at Lumiere Casino. It's now open. It's a sports bar for everyone. Visit QuickCrete.com. QuickCrete, it's what America's made of. And for all the reasons you invest, mutual funds from Goldman Sachs. Rick Horton, Dan McLaughlin, and Jim Hayes is with us. Memorial Day here at Busch Stadium and a gorgeous afternoon. Celebrate America's pastime, the game of baseball. Bumgarner looks at a ball. First time through the lineup, McClellan has thrown 2 first pitch strikes. So he's been pitching behind here all afternoon thus far. Bumgarner out to deep left center field. Rasmus on the move. He won't get it. And it's a ground rule double. Third hit allowed by McClellan today, and we go back to the top of the lineup and Torres.
Oh, you mentioned it, Dan. Pitching behind, you have to just throw one right down the middle. That was down the middle and up, and Bumgarner hitting 176. Didn't have a good year offensively last year as a rookie, but he's just young enough to think maybe he can still hit. After you've been around a while in this game and you're a pitcher, you know you can't. He may not know that yet.
Pickoff safe as the tag was applied by the shortstop, Ryan Theriot. Jim, you had a real nice story with Ryan about Memorial Day.
Yeah, he was talking about his great uncle, who was a survivor of Pearl Harbor. Growing up with him and the family, always had respect for the commitment of our men and women in the military, but just what he saw at Pearl Harbor and what some of the people that didn't make it, a horrific end, and how that always stayed with him.
So he was very emotional talking about it too, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. His great uncle passed a few years ago, but he said he was always around and always set a good example.
McClellan, only play after the sacrifice is to go to first and Pujols. So runner advances to third with 1 out. McClellan trying to pitch out of trouble. Here's Miguel Tejada. Tejada, 36 years of age, out of the Dominican. 6-time All-Star, 2-time Silver Slugger Award winner. Looks at a strike on the inside corner. He's played in over 2,000 games now in his career. 5th most by any player since he made his major league debut back in 1997. 0-1 pitch with the infield in off the end of the bat.
There was a stretch where some of the Cardinal players would have been all in if the Cardinals were interested in bringing in Tejada when they were having some issues at shortstop.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk about that. Also, they felt he'd give them maybe a backup plan at the time at third base, Rick.
Well, you like the veteran status as well. Again, he's had some experience. He's been a great player, so he knows how to play the game. Been around a little bit, little experience. If you're going to have a guy that's going to be a kind of a backup guy, you want a guy that's happy to have a job, and I think he was getting close to that point in his career that wouldn't have been a bad guy to take a flyer on.
Here's a look at the defense for Tejada. The slider up the middle and a base hit. Infield was drawn in and just over the glove of Kyle McClellan to make it 2-0 San Francisco.
Not very good location on that slider from Kyle McClellan. Was up just a little bit. Wasn't hit that well. He had a shot at it himself, but once it gets through him, no chance for a drawn in infield.
And it brings in Sanchez. 0 for 1, grounded into a fielder's choice, first time up. You know, Miguel Tejada for a while was the Iron Man of baseball. Between 2000 and 2007, he played in 1,152 consecutive games. You say to yourself, that's pretty good. That's a lot of games. That's almost a decade's worth. As Descalso will get the out at second. No chance at first. Then you compare it to Cal Ripken Jr. 1982 to 1998. And Junior played in 2,632. Amazing.
Well, Alan Craig's not going to play in too many more games in a row unless he learns to get out of the way when somebody's sliding into second base. Tejada's gotten him twice already. But that really is phenomenal. Not just the physical part of not being hurt, Cat, but these guys mentally, you get worn out when you play 40 games in a row. I know people don't have much sympathy for him when you say that, but occasionally you need a little mental day off, and to play that long is just extraordinary.
And to be that good where it's never a question that you should be out there game after game, day after day.
Good point.
Here is Aubrey Huff with a runner at first base. Foul ball, 1 strike. Huff first time up. Flied out to center. So it's a 2-0 lead here for the Giants. If you just joined us, back in the second inning, solo home run by Cody Ross. And the RBI single moments ago by Tejada. Once again, straight away defensively for the Cardinals.
The Cardinals know with Craig at second that turning double plays might be a bit of a challenge, but so far in the games where he's been at second, there hasn't been a lot of those opportunities. Today we've seen a couple.
He certainly made the routine plays, and he's looked comfortable doing that. Really not embarrassing himself at second base, but then turning that double play is tough.
Down the right field line, and a fan may have just broken his hand. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Ouch. There's a reason players wear gloves.
That had to hurt. You're going to shake it off right now and think, oh, I'm all right. Everybody, hey, you all right? Yeah, I'm fine. No problems over here.
He's going to have
his hand is just throbbing right now.
He's going to have his hand in an ice bucket here.
It's okay for kids to bring gloves to games. Is it okay for adults to bring them?
It's a little less cool, frankly.
That's political for Ricky Horton. It's a little less cool.
Now, if you're with a little guy or little girl, I mean, you bring your glove just like your kid is doing, so that's okay. Even then, Rick, you're so cool that you can't bring a glove to the game. Is that what you're saying?
It's outside my cool zone, Dan. But I mean, everybody's got a right to buy a ticket and do whatever they want. They can paint their face. They can wear a glove. They can even wear a Cubs hat if they want to. It's a free country.
Which guy in red got hit? There's only about 44,000 people here, but
I'm not sure he's still in his seat anymore.
I think he is. He's a gamer. He offered it a ball, didn't get it. Not in this cool zone to bring a glove.
The 2-2 pitch. Taken low.
By the way, I'm with you on that, Ricky.
You are?
I am.
See, I like that.
See, now you're going to have nasty letters and emails that'll come to you. I want this to be known it was Ricky and Jim, because I said one time, for those of you scoring at home, I don't know who would be.
And you got nailed for that.
Oh, I got killed. People are all over me about it.
You deserved it.
It was Rick, it was Jim, not me. 2-0. Remember, you can join Major League Baseball in helping those veterans who have done so much to help us. Log on to MLB.com or welcomebackveterans.org for more information on how you can make a difference. Along with Rick Horton, Dan McLaughlin, and Jim Hayes here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. 2-0 San Francisco. Descalso, McClellan, and Terrio. Descalso is hitting .233 and looks at a pitch outside. The strike zone is tight here today.
Really is. Kyle McClellan did not get a couple of pitches in the first inning and was working behind then. Gave up a run in the second and the third, but as long as the tight zone stays that way and doesn't start floating around, the players will respect it.
Two-one pitch to Descalso. 2-2.
I know Cardinal fans probably not happy in some ways that John Jay's not in the lineup today against the left-hander Bumgarner. John Jay batted over 400 on the road trip, but now you've got somebody's got to sit, Dan. Who do you want to sit?
Right.
Rasmus swinging well, and Berkman and Holiday. Nice problem to have.
Daniel strikes out. Bumgarner is first strikeout here of the afternoon.
Good old-fashioned Hickory, North Carolina high hard one.
Well, if you're just joining us, the good news today for the Cardinals, Jim, the fact that Matt Holliday is back in the lineup.
Yeah, and there's a guy who hates being the center of attention, didn't even want to talk about his return. But he's back, and the Cardinals are very happy for that. Why? Well, without him in the starting lineup, 7-7. With him in the starting lineup, 25-15. Their batting average with Holiday, .297, .243 without him, as that ball goes foul. And the Cardinals, with Holiday in the lineup, get 5.5 runs per game, 3.4 without him. So I'd say it's a pretty fair indication that they're better offensively with Matt in the starting lineup.
And those numbers very significant. I mean, you're not talking about just a slight variance here. You're talking about the difference between winning and losing.
Diving catch at first to take the hit away from Kyle McClellan. You know, Holiday, first time up. Grounded out to short. You could tell he doesn't feel all that comfortable when he was running down the line, but wisely just kind of trotted down the line. It's one thing to push it, Rick, as you well know, but being a professional athlete, when you have to, it's another thing when you're trying to make sure you stay in the lineup.
And he said the health thing is not something he takes for granted. He understands that this is something that could linger, so he's going to be as careful as he possibly can be while trying to be, you know, the contributor that he has been.
Here's Ryan Terrio, and takes a ball low and away.
One of the problems when we watch a baseball game, there are little injuries that we don't always know about. Sometimes they're not even disclosed. Teams don't want to tip off that, hey, you know, you can bunt on our third baseman because he can't run. You're not going to say that. And so you might hide a little hamstring tweak, a little calf strain. And so we'll see guys maybe not running at 100%, and there may be more to the story. And often there is. Now, there are times where they're just not hustling flat out. But I think sometimes you have to be smart, and Matt Holliday is going to have to do that over the next week or so until he's normal.
One ball, one strike here on Terrio. Grounded out to second, first time up, showing bunt, takes a ball.
That looked like a pretty good pitch too. Strike zone just below the kneecap, up to the midway point between your belt and your shoulder, and I'm not sure that's what's always called.
Working the count, it's full now here on Terrio.
How about what Terrio has been offensively? The Cardinals felt like they needed an upgrade offensively at shortstop. He's been that and more, hasn't he?
Been a great table setter.
12-game hitting streak on the line today.
Very tough to strike out too, up among the league leaders in that. Cardinals have always had Molina and Pujols on that list. Now Terrio is one of those guys that just seems to get the ball in play, and he also has a lot of deep counts, which you like from your leadoff hitter.
Leads the team with 55 hits. The 3-2 pitch to Terrio. On its way. Popped up to the right side again. Foul territory. And drops in. Coming into play here this afternoon, San Francisco has lost 5 of their last 6 games after winning 5 straight. And it's been the offense that's been the culprit. Been shut out twice in their last 4 games. The baby was born right before our first pitch. The 3-2 hit out of play.
What a gorgeous day.
Two fans that did not bring a glove dropped that pop fly just below us.
Oh, now you're trying to make up.
I'm just saying.
Now he's trying to make it up, isn't he? That's ripped down the left field line, fair and into the corner. Theriot on his way to second base. A 2-out double for Ryan Theriot. So the hitting streak extended for Ryan Theriot. It's now at 13 games, and Ryan Theriot safe at second, safe and secure. New York Life. There's your buddy Rick, Whitey Herzog.
Owe that man a lot. Great manager. Part of the great tradition here in St. Louis. Hall of Famer.
How much do you think the Hall of Fame truly has meant to him? Because, you know, sometimes those guys, not that they downplay it, but they don't tell you truly what it means inside.
I never thought I would see Whitey Herzog in tears, but I saw him in tears on opening day after it was announced he was going to be in the Hall of Fame.
That is a fair ball. It's a fair ball. And Alan Craig is on his way to second base. Tejada can't believe it. And he's arguing with the third base umpire. And with that, back-to-back doubles to make it 2-1.
Tim Welke showing him the evidence. Miguel Tejada still a little dubious. Now we're going to have a little discussion with Bruce Bochy and the home plate umpire, and he's going to ask if you saw it a little bit better. Screaming line drive, and it is.
Welke took a lot of time to make this decision. There it is.
Right at his feet. Sometimes that's the toughest one to call.
Ooh. Cardinals may have gotten a break.
On that replay, that ball looked like it did not hit the chalk. All it's got to do is hit the chalk. Doesn't have to hit it squarely, but on that last replay, I would say that ball was foul.
It's got to be hard, too, for Bruce Bochy to argue this. It was at the feet of Tim Welke. I mean, he had the best view in the house of that potential fair foul ball.
But in some ways, yes, but he's also trying to get out of the way, and it's moving so quickly because it's so close to him. In some ways, it's easier for us to see it from a long way away.
I still believe, looking at the replay, the Cardinals may have gotten a break. Let's take another look.
It's tough to tell.
Well, if it hits some
but
chalk.
You see how much time Welke took to make the call.
Well, regardless, it extends the inning to Pujols. It gets the Cardinals on the board. Back-to-back doubles. Craig is 2 for 2 with a pair of doubles.
If that hit some chalk, it was chalk that wasn't on the line.
Just saying.
Just saying.
First pitch to Albert Pujols. Pujols popped out foul territory to the first baseman, and he's 0 for 1.
How many people do you think will stand up here in the ballpark if Albert hits this ball 450 feet? About 35,000, 40,000? Yeah. All right. At least. I'm just getting you prepared for that, Dan.
I'm with Dan on that one.
Trying to follow where you're wanting me to go.
I think
here,
what he's saying, if Albert goes deep, there will be a rousing ovation.
I got that part.
Okay.
I thought it was pretty straightforward myself.
Well, I'm thinking there's about 44,000 here, so I was thinking, are there 10,000 Giants fans? One ball, one strike.
There might be 5,000 or 6,000 at the concession stands.
Base hit into right field. Here comes Craig. Throw by Ross. Not in time. Pujols delivers, and we're tied up at 2. home run or not, they're on their feet.
About 30,000 of them. Albert delivers, hits the ball the other way. With authority, we mentioned good outfield arms for the Giants. Strong throw, but not in time to get Alan Craig. Cardinals get a break on the Craig double, and they capitalize on it by picking up a second run thanks to Albert Pujols.
And again, the damage done by St. Louis with 2 outs. That's a theme that has been continuing now throughout this entire season. 2-out hits and 2-out RBI base hits.
Been a very clutch team. That's the kind of thing, Jim, that can stay with the team all season long, too. You start to develop that expectation and that habit of being a good 2-out hitting team, a late hitting team. I think Daniel Descalzo's had a lot to do with that.
Absolutely. The guy who always comes through close and late. To me, if you look at the 2 constants with this team this season has been their ability to battle back and good starting pitching. It's a pretty good combo to have.
Very good starting pitching this year. We saw that on the road trip. And Pujols is off with the pitch, trying to steal third. He hesitated, doesn't matter, steals the base. Now he actually stopped and then had to start it back up again to steal this base.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of him running in this situation with Matt Holliday at the plate with 2 out. I don't know that the benefit is worth the risk right there, but hard to keep Albert down on the farm.
1 ball, 1 strike here on Holliday. Reaches for it, slowly hit towards short. Tejada cuts it off, and Holliday is out at first. If he's running normally, he may beat that out. Jim, we'll see on the postgame. Pujols delivers, and it's 2-2. And we're underway here in the 4th. It's a 2-2 game. Cody Ross, Aaron Rowan, then Crawford, the shortstop. A lot of different things to talk about from that previous inning. Number 1 looked to be a blown call by Tim Welke, the crew chief, and in doing so leads to a couple of runs to tie it up at 2-2. And the other thing to talk about, it goes to 3-0 on Cody Ross. Matt Holliday running down the line. Take a look here. It doesn't look very comfortable.
No, this ball, a deep shortstop. He's giving it everything he can, but he's just not going to try to blow out that leg. And you can see him almost pulling up and
almost like he was grabbing his left quad. You know, he's had really hamstring. I mean, I guess when you have a hamstring issue, you end up having a quad issue. They certainly counterbalance each other, and he just did not look comfortable running to first base. I was a little surprised, Dan, that he stayed in the game after watching him run to first base. If the ball's hit into the gap somewhere in left center field, not going to be an easy play for him to run it down. Colby Rasmus's responsibility certainly increased now that Holliday's back in the lineup.
You would think late innings probably, Rick, depending on the game situation.
Yeah.
Holliday would come into the bench. You could move Craig to left and bring in a second baseman.
Or we'd see John Jay.
That'd be the other one. And that's a walk. So Cody Ross draws a leadoff walk. Leadoff man on, and the Cardinals are with you wherever you go this season. Subscribe to MLB.TV today to see every Cardinals game live or on demand on your computer and your favorite TV devices. Visit Cardinals.com, MLB.TV. Baseball is everywhere. Ground ball. That is a fair ball. Just inside the third base line. Holliday has to get it. Bare hands it. Fires into second base. And it's a double for Aaron Rowan. The first two have reached. Tim Welke's thinking I was calling balls and strikes yesterday. That's when the pressure was on me.
Yeah. You usually call that the rocking chair. Isn't that what Mike Shannon calls the third base umpire? As if you're not really having any responsibility, and all of a sudden he's at the center of it. This ball inside the bag. Now, ground ball can hit and go over the bag and then hit foul and still be a fair ball. But on a line drive, obviously it has to hit in fair territory first. And he was right on that call. McClellan needs some big pitches to get out of this. Still working behind a bit, and not to make excuses for him because it's going both ways, but a very, very small strike zone by Andy Fletcher. Only 6 of 16 first pitch strikes for McClellan. Way below his norm.
No balls, 1 strike here on Crawford. And that's a base hit into right field. 1 run is in. They'll hold up Rowan at third. And it's first and third, nobody out. RBI for Crawford, his 5th of the season.
Here's the location of that curveball from McClellan. Location not bad. A bit of a lazy break, though. Not one of the sharper McClellan curveballs. Dave Duncan out to have a few words with Kyle McClellan.
I'm sure there's some that say, well, can the Giants play this game under protest because of a line shot that's called foul? And the answer is no, because you cannot protest based on an umpire's call. Now, you can on the interpretation of a rule.
Yeah, we've seen that over the years where there's been a protest about a particular call, whether it's batting out of order or player using pine tar in the wrong part of the bat. There's some really obscure rules, too. I just noticed in the umpire's book there's a rule on how big your protective ear can be on your elbow that a batter wears. It can only be but so long. It's either 10 inches or 12 inches.
Long way to go for Berkman to foul territory and out of play.
So imagine a protest over that. I mean, there are all kinds of things that it may be something about a particular play or a call that's against, contrary to the rules, but you can't protest a judgment call. You can't protest a ball strike or a fair foul. It's just not
interpretation of a rule.
Exactly. Bruce Bochy would like to.
Absolutely. And some are maybe saying instant replay. Let's have it.
And some are saying no thank you.
The 0-1 pitch. Make it 0-2.
McClellan came off the mound awkwardly there. He caught a cleat on his follow through. No position to feel the ball hit back to him.
And that's in the dirt. Leadoff man, by the way, in the 4 innings for San Francisco, and 3 of the 4 is reached, and all 3 times now has come around to score.
Yeah, and it's so hard, Dan, I was just going to say, in this situation, for you to just keep the wheels from coming off. Things start happening bad around you. You just get back on track and throw a good pitch and get a strikeout.
Now you have the pitcher spot coming up.
It's what Jaime Garcia was not able to do in his last outing. He wasn't able to right the ship at all. But McClellan, giving up a run an inning here in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, can pick up a big out here. He gave up a double to Bumgarner.
Rick would like to protest this game because Bumgarner has protective gear on the left arm that's too big. That's your interpretation.
I didn't make that up.
Think about Craig Biggio, Barry Bonds, when they used to have that huge protective gear on the front side. Runners at 1st and 3rd. And an 0-1 pitch is Bumgarner. Doubled, ground rule double. Back in the 3rd inning.
Standards for protective elbow pads. The Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and MLBPA agreed to the standardized elbow protective equipment policy. No player permitted to wear an elbow protection pad that exceeds 10 inches in length. I didn't make that up.
Stolen base for Crawford as a pitch was in the dirt. Now that takes that double play away. Potential base hit. You scored 2. One ball, 1 strike. Corners are in for the Cardinals. Bumgarner takes a pretty good swing, doesn't he?
Maybe part of the reason why the Cardinals are playing the infield back here. Certainly had a good first at bat. I wonder if they'll come in on this pitch. 1-2 count.
Check swing. And he did not go. 2-2.
I think he's going to have to hit the McClellan curveball. I think Tony's actually telling one of the infielders to come in closer. It's Alan Craig telling Terrio, you stay back, but Craig, you come in, trying to get his attention, and now he is in. On the right side. There's McClellan spinning off the mound again. I think he's having trouble finishing his slider.
He's had 63 pitches today, and only 34 have been strikes. He goes to 3-2 here on the pitcher, Bumgarner. And it's a walk, bases loaded. Reminder that June 3rd, bring the family to Busch Stadium for Merrimack Caverns Night. All kids 15 and under receive a coupon good for 1 admission for a Merrimack Caverns cave tour and boat ride. May be hot outside, but always a cool 60 degrees inside the cave. So bases loaded here for Torres. Another reminder, we have an Ice Mountain autograph night on Wednesday, Busch Bash on Friday, along with Merrimack Caverns. The Cubs will be in town. Torres takes a strike.
Frustrating miss there by Kyle McClellan, walking the pitcher with first base open. That certainly wasn't his intention. Rowan's the runner at 3rd base. Crawford at 2nd, and Bumgarner the pitcher at 1st.
The 0-1 pitch. High in the air, out to deep right. Berkman is back at the track, at the wall, and it's gone. It's a grand slam for Torres. His 2nd home run of the year, and it's a grand slam. Torres nearly circled around and passed Bumgarner, who had to tell him stay back when they were running the bases. And that'll get the bullpen up and throwing for the Cardinals.
Bumgarner has not received a lot of offensive help all year long, and he's getting plenty of it today. He's still not sure whether it's a home run or not, and decided he could trot the rest of the way. 7-2 Giants. There's your run support.
And now here is Tejada. Takes a strike on the outside corner. No balls and 2 strikes. Miguel Tejada 2 for 2. Both have been singles. Also picked up an RBI in the 3rd. Batista warming up. The 0-2 pitch. Tejada pulls it foul. Big Cardinal fan watching is Dottie Smith. Friend of the Cardinals and watching baseball today. We wish her nothing but the best. That's Dottie Smith.
Far and away the roughest outing of the year so far for Kyle McClellan. The roughest prior was on the 28th of April in a game where he beat the Astros, gave up 5 runs in 5 innings.
A grounder. Craig stays with it and makes the play. Brings in Sanchez. Sanchez is 0 for 2. There's Batista getting loose. And a strike at the knees to Freddie Sanchez. 2 outs, nobody on, and Freddie is hitting .299. 2 home runs, 17 driven in. Chases that pitch. Just didn't really seem like from the get-go that McClellan was locked in. So he walked the pitcher here in this inning. He's also given up a double to him. Scalzo to his left and makes the play. So big inning for San Francisco. They've got 7 hits already today. It's Memorial Day. Giants on top 7-2. Get 25-cent drinks the next day, all day at On the Run at Mobile. That's any 20-ounce coffee found in a frozen drink for just $0.25. And we're serious and On the Run at Mobile. Along with Rick Horton, Dan McLaughlin with you, and it's the Giants leading 7-2 as we move to the bottom of the 4th. Berkman, Rasmus, and Molina. First career grand slam for Torres.
Only his 2nd home run of the season. Barely got out of here again. The ball carrying very well. We're going to see some home runs in this homestand.
That's out to deep right field. Look at this ball carry, but the catch is made by Cody Ross.
Berkman twice is flied out to right. And it brings in Colby Rasmus. The Giants in this game have matched their run output for their first 4 games without Buster Posey. And it was Posey along with Madison Bumgarner, today's starter, the first all-rookie starting battery in the World Series since Game 1 of the 1947 World Series. Spec Shea and Yogi Berra started for the Yankees in Game 1 back in 1947. Oh, 1 pitch to Colby Rasmus, a breaking ball that's taken low.
Yogi Berra got a lot of rings, didn't he?
He sure did.
Such a baseball icon.
Yogi still a major part of the organization with the Yankees and making appearances and whatnot. And if the Yankees would win again, if fans are curious, he gets a ring. So he's been a part of a lot of teams that have a lot of rings.
I'm sure he's run out of fingers by now.
Oh, yeah.
But he's got friends.
Family.
Good friend of Whitey Herzog's, by the way. We noticed that Whitey was here at the ballpark today celebrating Memorial Day. Whitey and Yogi were coaches together with the New York Mets. Whitey was the third base coach. Yogi coached first base. Very good friends.
3-2 on Colby Rasmus.
You know, when Whitey watches a game, he's not just kind of watching it. He is very up on Cardinal baseball. Very supportive of this organization.
Well, if you're in the Hall of Fame, you get some pretty good seats, too.
How did he not get the first row? That's what I want to know.
Here is Yadier Molina. You wonder, as he watches a game, if he's managing along with both these guys.
No, that's what I mean. He's not just watching a game. He is thinking, what's wrong with the pitcher? Who would I pinch hit? Who would I warm up? In fact, it's one of the things when you get out of the game that's kind of frustrating. When you sit in the stands and not everybody's doing that. I mean, people come to the ballpark for a variety of reasons. They love the family connection. They love Fred Bird. They love everything about being at the ballpark. But when you're a manager at Whitey's level, or you played at the level for a long time, you're thinking strategy. I mean, you're just thinking, okay, threw that pitch up in the zone, trying to get a double play here. He might be thinking about how to get a hot dog too. I must be honest.
2 balls and no strikes here on Yadier Molina. Molina flied out to center. First time up, 0 for 1. Just a gorgeous afternoon for baseball.
Chip away.
Upstairs to Molina. 3-0 with 1 out. Still a long way to go in this ball game. And having said that, while many times you think about saving your bullpen, might be one of those times where you feel the best option is to go with your bullpen because it's early and you have a chance to get back in the game.
Well, you want to use your bullpen when they're rested, and then that is in play for 2 or 3 days. Then they're all tired. Then you want your starter to go. I mean, it's just the ebb and flow of managing a bullpen. That's probably a strike. Again, that pitch hasn't been called a strike all afternoon long, and it's making it very tough on both these pitchers. There is no low strike today, and I think it's hurt Kyle McClellan, and it might hurt Bumgarner. That's a strike. Frankly, you can't miss that pitch as often as he's missed it today.
You think about McClellan, and first time through the lineup, he fell behind on every hitter with the exception of 2, and that's not him. Usually very good control. Here's Descalso. Daniel has struck out. That's the lone strikeout for the lefty Bumgarner. 1 out, runners at first and second following a couple of walks. Seen a lot of teams the last week or so try to elevate that pitch on Descalso.
We saw it in the last at bat for sure. Now 0 for his last 8. Not close and late yet, is it?
Gotta wait till the 7th as time is called. 0-2 the count. 7-2 San Francisco. If you just joined us, Giants picked up 1 run in the second, another in the third, and 5 in the fourth, highlighted by the Torres grand slam.
I'd like to see him come through fairly close and early.
Doesn't chase. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Outfield is straight away. And a check swing. A strikeout of Descalso. Tomorrow night, Toyota Cardinals Live, the pregame show. Catfight with Jim Hayes, as Jim will host a trivia contest. Great prizes, and you can join in the fun by stopping by the Helitech desk at Busch Stadium to be a contestant. The Catfight before every Tuesday home game, Toyota Cardinals Live. Tyler Green has moved to the on-deck circle. And now he's going to be your pinch hitter.
I guess Dave Righetti's a little bit afraid of Tyler Green. Feels like he needs to communicate how he's going to pitch to Tyler Green. I would think that discussion would have been had already.
Runners at first and second with 2 outs. Long visit with Whiteside and Bumgarner here. And that'll be it for Kyle McClellan. Kyle gives up 7 base hits, 4 innings of work, 7 runs, and a pair of homers. So 2 outs and 2 on. Off speed pitch, floats in there for a strike.
2 homers certainly hurt McClellan, but the walks that he had in that inning were just as bad, especially the walk to the pitcher, Bumgarner. That was an out he had to get.
0-1 pitch. Green taps it to the left side. Tejada steps on the bag, and the Giants are out of a jam. We move to the 5th on Memorial Day. It's 7-2 here at Busch Stadium. Warming up Name the 3 players with the highest batting average against the Cardinals as a Giant. AT&T trivia question. Kevin Mitchell, Jack Clark, who then joined St. Louis. Matt Williams now with Arizona.
I'm surprised 2 names aren't on that list. Will Clark and Jeff Leonard.
Yep.
Jeff Leonard did the most damage, I would think. He did most of it against me alone.
It's our Chevy call to the pen, and the right-hander Miguel Batista comes in for St. Louis.
And his job will be to go as long as he can. I would think he would be able to go 3 innings. That would be the hope. Been very solid. He's the Cardinals' best answer to who's your long man. It's not really a philosophy that most teams use anymore. They take more pitchers than clubs used to take 10, 15 years ago, and the idea is they're all specialists. Nobody is out there as your essentially 6th starter who can pitch 5 or 6 or 7 innings in relief, and I'm not sure that's a good thing. I think you end up wasting your bullpen too many times because you don't have somebody who's able to go 5+ innings out of your bullpen.
So Batista comes in relief of Kyle McClellan. Top of the 5th rolls in. First pitch, a little grounder, and Terrio was near the bag. So makes the play, and Huff retired. That'll help you go deeper into games too. Quick outs.
1 pitch, 1 out. That's the way it should be.
Brings in Ross, who hit a 438-foot home run back in the 2nd and walked and scored in the 4th.
Dan, I don't think the Cardinals are anywhere close to conceding this game down 5 runs as the Giants bat in the 5th inning. But with Matt Holliday probably batting, assuming the Cardinals can get 1 base runner on in the 5th inning, I would like to see him hit 1 more time and then call it a day. And I don't think that's necessarily conceding this game. Certainly long way to go, but I think you have to do everything you can to protect Holliday and make sure you don't re-injure him and miss him for another 2 weeks.
But he would be the guy definitely I think you'd look at and you say, all right, that's enough.
Yep.
Ground ball again. Descalso cuts it off before it got to short. 2 outs. The matchup tomorrow night, Chris Carpenter 1-5 against Ryan Vogelsong, who is 3-1. Vogelsong, a renaissance of sorts this year, 3-1, 1.77 ERA. He initially began his career with San Francisco, and the last time the Cardinals saw him was with Pittsburgh in 2006. So 2 outs, nobody on, and Aaron Rowan the hitter.
You know you're going to get pitching when you play the Giants.
Yes.
They'll find somebody. They've already got some great ones, but they'll find somebody else. They'll turn him into a hot phenom, and to give Dave Righetti a little credit for that. But Tim Lincecum, of course, the best of all of them. And he is electric. I mean, he's so much fun to watch pitch. And I tell you, watching him pitch last year from the Whitey Herzog front row seats, I had a chance to be down there to watch him pitch in a game, and it was just exciting. I just loved watching him pitch.
Well, the odd deliveries that you'll find in the game today, but certainly works for him, and it was something that was taught to him. He's from the Seattle area, taught to him by his dad, and some teams, because of that odd delivery, stayed away from him in the draft, but not the Giants. They took him, and it's proven to be a wise investment this year. He's 5-4 with a 2.22 ERA.
You can understand why some teams would do that. It is an odd delivery, and when somebody comes to you, and he and his dad, who I believe is an engineer who helped him kind of design this motion, when they came and said, okay, you can draft my son, but you can't coach him. I mean, there'd be a few teams that would say, okay, next. And a lot of teams did say that, but the Giants were smart enough to take him. And he defies all odds because he is just not a big guy. He's just really slight for a pitcher to be throwing as hard as he does.
Tim's father
is a retired Boeing employee. Began teaching him his mechanics at the age of 4. They say they built it from scratch, and his dad played at a community college in the early 1970s, played semi-pro baseball. This is interesting. They measured this out, the length of the stride of a pitcher. They say is 77 to 87% of his height. For Tim Lincecum, it's 129%, or roughly 7.5 feet.
Wow.
Back-to-back Cy Youngs for Lincecum at 08 and 09. He was the 10th overall pick by the Giants in 2006. So we'll see him in this series on Wednesday night against Jake Westbrook. Here's Brandon Crawford following the walk to Rowan. And Batista puts it to the backstop. No chance for Molina.
Pretty good pitcher too, Dan, for the Giants in the final game of the series. Jonathan Sanchez, he's 3-3, but we know he has electric stuff. No hit capability. Ball just gets away from Yadier Molina. And it looks like a little mechanical issues going on right now with Miguel Batista. Yadi trying to settle him down. Maybe they're talking about pitch selection. Maybe he's just giving him a breather.
Get online, follow the game through Game Connect on FoxSportsMidwest.com, presented by Jack in the Box. True second screen experience. You can follow the stat trends for players, Twitter, keep up with the game action in real time. It's all presented by Jack in the Box, and find it at FoxSportsMidwest.com. That's taken high. And so we have back-to-back walks. So Batista got the first two, now back-to-back walks, and it brings in Whiteside. Whiteside is grounded out to short and also struck out. They're in the top of the ninth, and the Astros lead the Cubs 12-6. Few finals already in. Phillies over Washington 5-4. San Diego beat Atlanta 3-2. Detroit over Minnesota 6-5. A 1 pitch to Whiteside. Make it 0-2.
A little uncharacteristic this afternoon for Cardinal pitchers to be walking so many hitters. They have not had a problem with that really all year long. A couple of times with the bullpen, but for the most part, the starting pitchers have thrown strikes. We've already seen 4 walks in this game, and every one of them has been from the 5th spot to the 9th.
So the pitcher walked, Ross walked, Rowan and Crawford in this inning back-to-back. And it's 0-2. It's 2 walks by the starter today, McClellan, and 2 here by Batista. An 0-2 pitch to Whiteside. On its way. Outfield is straight away. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Batista working at a very slow pace. A pickoff. They almost took off Batista's head. Ouch. And that hit the runner.
Oh, no.
That's Rowan out at second base.
I hope that was just a glancing blow. That ball was headed into center field. More look at that.
Remember a few years ago, Aaron Rowan was the center fielder for, you can tell it's his leg, but he was a center fielder for the Phillies. Went head first into the wall in center, while wearing that Phillies uniform and wound up being a gruesome injury.
Yeah,
this one catches the leg.
Yeah, he's not right yet. I was concerned that it might have hit him in the head, and it doesn't feel that much better hitting him where it hit him, but looks like he's going to be able to stay in the game, but that ball hit him squarely, Dan. And you talk about that play that Aaron Rowan made in center field. He is a gutsy player. He's a great, great outfielder. Giants are lucky to have him really as a backup outfielder, but he's, as you mentioned, playing left field. They've had to deal with some injuries, and not sure he's going to be 100%, but he's staying in.
Bruce Bochy with one of the biggest heads in baseball.
You should see Bob Gerens, manager for Oakland.
Specially made hats for Bruce. Abby and Elizabeth Green are here today and helping us out up here in the booth. Abby and Elizabeth Green. Time is called. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Bob Guerin used to say, if my face mask, he was a catcher in the Cardinal organization, now managing Oakland. He used to say, if I ever break my face mask, I'll just go to the grocery store and use a shopping cart.
Bob Guerin's had a lot of fun with his relievers as of late.
He's not exactly the most popular manager in baseball right now, is he?
No.
Not only his relievers, some of his ex-relievers aren't too happy with him.
Houston Street had some
jumping on the pile.
Less than complimentary comments about Bob Guerin at his time in Oakland, and then Brian Fuentes. So Batista has walked the bases loaded after getting the first 2.
This is getting a little problematic right now, Dan. The game is still within reach. 7-2 Giants. You've got a long man out there that's not able to throw a strike. You really don't want to waste another pitcher, but how many more walks will Dave Duncan and Tony La Russa endure?
And there's a strike. Bumgarner has done it at the plate as well. Doubled and scored back in the 3rd. He walked in the 4th.
Get a ground ball and all is forgotten.
Well, again, he goes 0-2. Here's the 0-2. What are you seeing here, Rick? He gets to 0-2 in these hitters, and then he can't put them away.
Well, he's trying to hit that outside corner with the 0-2, and he just doesn't have a feel for that. And then he tries to just come back and throw one right down the middle, and he misses location again. It's almost like you're better off just, especially with the pitcher hitting, just going right at it. Don't try to be too fine. Sometimes it feels like, Dan, the plate is jumping around on you.
The 2-2 pitch. Fought off, and we'll do it again.
Might have been ball 3.
40-year-old that's still throwing low to mid-90s. And this will be pitch number 25 of the inning for Batista. Not the way that you want to start this homestand or this series, trailing 7-2 here in the 5th, and your starter's been knocked out.
Well, I think you wanted 3 innings out of Batista. Now you'll be really happy if you can get 2. 25 pitches already. 68% out of the strike zone.
Runners off with the pitch and a swing and a miss. So almost forgotten.
I forgot it already.
3 walks, but a strikeout with the bases loaded and no runs allowed.
Tap is brought to you by Budweiser. And again, note the start time, 5:30 with our pregame show. Because the start time, our first pitch is at 6:10 tomorrow night. So if you have a ticket, make sure that you know that the game is at 6:10 tomorrow night, not the normal 7:15. And it's Carpenter and Vogelsong. We still have a very long way to go in this ball game. The Cardinals trail by the score of 7-2. Bumgarner, you see the run support that he's gotten today. The last 4 games minus Buster Posey, 7 total runs. And today they have 7 in support of the lefty.
You prefer to have those spread out?
I would imagine so. What about the mindset, Rick, of a team that misses Sandoval, misses a DeRosa, now a guy like Posey that is such an important piece to the puzzle, and just mentally coming to the ballpark knowing that you certainly aren't quite 100%?
Well, it depends on how good your team is, how you handle missing a piece like that. If you're the Cardinals, you had to deal with, okay, we don't have David Freese. We don't have Adam Wainwright on the pitching side. We don't have Nick Punto for a while. We don't have Skip Schumacher. But if you've got enough other pieces you feel good about and guys that are able to step in at a high level, then you can deal with that, because injuries are part of the game. But when you lose a Buster Posey, your backup catcher isn't close to being Buster Posey. That's why it's devastating for the Giants.
Ground ball to short. Easy play. Terrio retired. And that's the first out here in the Cardinals half of the 5th. Terrio, by the way, did extend his hitting streak to 13 games. And it brings it out to Craig. Craig is 2 for 2 with a pair of doubles. The time of that second double will look to be a foul ball called fair, extended the inning. Cardinals then would tie it up 2-2. And then the Giants come back with 5 in the 4th. By the way, Ross now has moved to left, and Shearholtz is in right. So Rowan is out of the game after being hit by Molina. And quickly, no balls and 2 strikes. There was nobody up and throwing for the Cardinals when Batista was 1 ball away from walking his 4th straight.
I thought you said you forgot about that.
I have forgotten about it. I'm just letting you know.
Sounds like you remembered it to me.
I'm just pointing out that there was nobody coming in relief as Bumgarner takes a lot off of that pitch and a strikeout.
Good curveball from Bumgarner. And very young pitcher. He's 21 years of age. Perfect spot, low and away. First time he gets Alan Craig. I think your point is right, though. I think the fact that there was nobody loosening for the Cardinals tells you that the Cardinals are going to have to get some innings out of Batista. And I'm just not sure he can go 2 more. Not sure he can. If he has a quick inning here, maybe he does.
Well, that's the question right now if you're Tony La Russa. Can I only get 1 more inning out of Batista because of roughly 30 pitches that he threw? There's a strike on Pujols. He swung through the pitch, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Cardinals were facing an innings question in Garcia's last outing when they left him out there for eventually 12 runs, and certainly some question. I had some question about whether or not they left him in too long, but the point is you got to get some innings from somewhere. I found out Tyler Green probably would be the infielder they'd use if they need one.
Hopefully rounds out.
Hopefully that doesn't happen anytime soon.
1-2-3 inning. It's 7-2. The Chnooks this date in history, 1984. Wow, Cardinals great and Fox Sports Midwest legend. That's the way it's written here. Rick Horton records his first career win, pitching 1 inning, 1 strikeout in Houston.
Looks like a dominating inning there, doesn't it?
We're told it was 39 pitches, and 8 of those 39 went for strikes.
Sounds like a Batista kind of inning there that we saw. But I did get the win. That's all that matters.
How about Fox Sports Midwest legend?
Yeah. Oh,
Just
boy.
ask you, right, Rick?
Yeah. I wonder if that was the game I got the hit off of that guy.
Nolan Ryan.
That guy. Thank you for remembering.
Apparently, Bruce Sutter picked up a save that day. There's a high fly ball lifted out to left, and backing up to make the catch, Matt Holliday. And Torres is retired. We're in the 6th inning, and it's 7-2 in favor of the Giants. Remember, Batista was 1 pitch, 1 out back in the 5th.
Torres had trouble when he hit the home run running the bases. Flies out to left field and picks up the base. Then whoops, he's having a little trouble rounding first, isn't he? Almost did the same exact thing on his home run. But he has the big hit in this game. The reason the Giants are leading 7-2.
Here's Miguel Tejada. Hits it out of play.
And another strike.
Tejada is 2 for 3. Pair of singles, RBI. There's a broken bat hit to third. Descalso. 2 away. Join Major League Baseball in helping those veterans who have done so much to help all of us. Log on to MLB.com or welcomebackveterans.org for more information on how you can make a difference. Beautiful afternoon here in St. Louis. Memorial Day.
I also think about the great organization Hire Heroes USA that Al Roboski has been involved with for so long, got me and many other former players involved with. They help find jobs for returning veterans, and they also put on the Cardinals fantasy camp that Dan, you had a chance to go to last year. We had such a great time there together and watching the former Cardinal players play against the campers and having games. It's just a great time, but the other part of that is the funds raised from that event go to help this Hired Heroes USA program, which does such great work for our veterans.
And we heard one of the veterans speak, a young veteran, speak about coming back and trying to be part of the working force in the United States and needing help.
Telling the story as a leader of troops going from house to house in a hostile area. I mean, it was really gut-wrenching and breathtaking to listen to him talk about his service and willingness to commit his life in the lives of his troops for our freedom.
And there's a swing and a miss. Batista gets the strikeout. His 2nd of the day. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Jack in the Box. So right now you can get the new bourbon barbecue steak grilled sandwich at participating restaurants. And by Kia. Matt Holliday to lead it off for the Cardinals as we move to the bottom of the 6th. You get the feeling, Rick, this might be the final at bat for Matt.
I think if he reaches base, the Cardinals will pinch run for him. I would suggest that John Jay would be a good choice. Let him run for him and take over in left field. Nice to see Holliday back.
And he picks up a base hit.
And we'll see if John Jay makes his way over to first base. No movement yet from the Cardinals dugout.
Word on Aaron Rowan. It's a right hip contusion for Rowan. Why he left this game. And here is Lance Berkman, who twice has flied out to right.
And perhaps Tony's decision is, if I take Holliday out right now, I might really want him in the 9th inning or the 8th inning.
If you were going to pinch run too, you might think about maybe a pitcher, because you're saving Jay. Eventually you're going to have to put him in, but if you would have a spot that would come up in this inning, you'd still have Jay available.
You'd still have him available. And it depends on whether or not Bumgarner's still in this game.
Exactly,
eventually.
with the lefty.
You'd think about them, if they're going to go to a reliever, it'd be from the right side. And we should mention, we haven't talked about it, but the Giants bullpen is a good bullpen. They're a very balanced bullpen. They have 2 left-handers, Javier Lopez and Jeremy Affeldt, who can be very strong from the left side. But with Sergio Romo, Guillermo Mota, and Brian Wilson anchoring the bullpen from the right side, it's pretty tough.
Strikeout of Lance Berkman with Brian Wilson last year with 48 saves, the most he had ever saved. He had seasons of 41 and 38 prior to that.
We can see Tony La Russa from our vantage point. He's been continuing to look at Matt Holliday as he leads off first base. I still think he's thinking about it. One of the many decisions a manager has to make throughout the course of a game.
Rasmus is 0 for 1. He's grounded out to second, also walked. Takes a pitch up and in. 1 ball, 1 strike. Brian Talent getting loose. It's interesting that Tony La Russa, after Talent on Friday night had gone to a 3-2 count, had him leave the game obviously with elbow discomfort, and then he pitched him the next day. You don't usually see that.
Very surprised he came in. It's almost as if he had a cramp of some sort. I mean, they really weren't defining it. Kind of an unspecified injury that he had the night before, but kind of a tightness deal, which I thought could have been his forearm as well as his elbow. But the next night he was able to come out and throw. I did think it was bizarre.
The 1-2 pitch hit out of play. Kyle McClellan, if you just joined us, today goes 4 innings, 7 hits, 7 runs, all were earned. A pair of walks, 2 strikeouts, 75 pitches, and 45 were strikes in his shortest outing of the year thus far. Aubrey Huff, the first baseman. Kind of an odd way to hold a guy on, but we're seeing more and more that hitters are doing that, or rather first basemen are doing that, especially with a left-handed bat up. Colby with a high fly ball into right field. Catch is made for out number 2.
He didn't miss that by much. The swing of Colby Rasmus picks up the front leg. Gets the balance, gets underneath it just a little bit. Does have a sweet swing. Really wondering why they're holding on Matt Holliday at all for that batter, because you know he's not going to run. If you watched him run out the ground balls he's hit in the infield, you're giving up that right side against Molina for no reason. And Huff was just told to get off the bag and get where he was on the last batter. But again, the difference between playing in front of him and behind him is a difference of what kind of range you have as a first baseman. One thing we know after watching Aubrey Huff play the outfield, he's pretty happy to be playing first base right now. He was really struggling out in San Francisco the first couple weeks of the season.
Up the middle for a base hit.
Now do you pinch run for Matt Holliday?
Our Nissan drive of the game off the bat of Yadier Molina.
Right back up the box. Bumgarner tries to stab that ball as it goes past him.
Well, after Descalso struggled against a lefty, struck out twice, Tony La Russa will pinch hit here. He'll use Cruz, who's been very good at the plate so far. Very impressed.
Well, we've seen from Tony Cruz, who's really billed as kind of a catch and throw guy, not necessarily a high average hitter in his minor league years with the Cardinals, but we've seen from him is a very short stroke. He's kind of getting the bat on the ball, and he's been rewarded. 3-hit night in his first start in the big leagues. Not many people can say that.
Very odd to see Tony La Russa do this, because many times you don't see him, no matter what the circumstance, especially this early in a game, use his backup catcher as a pinch hitter.
Already used Tyler Green. The only other right-hander would be Pete Kozma on his bench. And so you wonder if he's going to try to find a way to keep Cruz in the game somewhere. Otherwise, you have no backup for Yachty.
And it's a strike. You would think just being around the big league club, invaluable experience for no matter how long Tony Cruz will be here.
Take advantage of your opportunity. Learn as much as you can learn. Earlier today, Tony Cruz working at the ballpark, and check the time, 12:21. And he's working with Jeff Murphy, the bullpen catcher, and throwing balls in the dirt, getting him to work on his footwork and his glove work. And again, that was quite some time ago.
And that's it. The Cardinals strand 2. We head to the 7th.
take on the Giants. You can meet your favorite players and alumni. For more details, visit cardinals.com/promotions. And again, $18 seats available that night in the bleachers, $9 terrace level seats for the entire series against San Francisco.
And the Cardinals' interchangeable parts finds another part. Tony Cruz can play third base, we think. Getting a shot at doing it here. He's staying in the game. The Cardinals don't want to lose their only other catcher. Brian Talent takes over for Miguel Batista. This will be his 10th game of the season. Mixed results from him. Batista went 2 innings. No hits, no runs, 3 walks that Dan has forgotten, and 2 strikeouts.
And he was in relief of McClellan, who went 4 innings, 75 pitches. And on the hook right now, his shortest outing of the year. So Talent into the ball game.
And what we can't forget, Dan, out of Kyle's outing is the walk to Madison Bumgarner to load the bases, then the home run that followed. And you just know he had that on his mind. I mean, the frustration of walking the pitcher, maybe getting out of the jam. And that's really the difference in this game right now.
A 2-0 pitch to Aubrey Huff. Out in front. Talent looks like with a mullet.
A little bit of a herky-jerky motion from him. Does get pretty good extension. Kind of a maximum effort guy, too. He just kind of rears back and fires it at the end. He just lets it go.
Two balls and 2 strikes. Well, Cruz had made 132 appearances at third base in the minor leagues, so it's not quite foreign territory. Actually played in 2 games in Springfield there last year. Leadoff walk, and here is Cody Ross. Ross with a big blast, 438 feet off of Cal McClellan back in the 2nd inning. One of a 5-run 4th, and for San Francisco was the grand slam. They added on to the lead after the Ross home run. That's in there for a strike, 0-2.
Yeah, we might see Ryan Franklin in this game. Did throw a couple of innings on Saturday, but with a day off, would be a chance for him to get some more work. Cardinals are, I would say, decently rested in their bullpen. But again, that changes in a hurry. You have a couple of bad games, and all of a sudden you need help. That's why the Cardinals and many other teams in baseball have gone to this almost revolving door with their relievers, where they'll send somebody up from AAA and somebody out, but there really isn't a likely candidate right now in the Cardinal bullpen.
And a 1-2 pitch, hit in the air to right. Berkman makes the catch.
Used to be your pitchers like Batista, and now Ryan Franklin would be the guys out in the bullpen that you could send down and bring them back up. And because they're veterans, you can't do that with them.
Shadows becoming a part of the ball game. You'll see that tomorrow with the 6:10 start. The shadows can really play a part of the game just an hour earlier, especially with the right fielder. Schierholtz, his first plate appearance. Foul tip, strike one. Schierholtz is in the spot that was occupied by Aaron Rowan, who was hit by Yadier Molina on a pickoff play at second base. Hip contusion is what they're calling it, so he's out of the game. The 0-1 pitch by Talent. That's hit out of play. If memory serves correct, Cruz was drafted as a third baseman and then moved to the behind the plate to a catcher.
And it's great to have that kind of versatility. You want to be a bench player in the big leagues or more than that? Nice to be able to play a couple of positions.
Stole a base for Huff.
Look at the Cardinal infielders. Not all playing their most comfortable position.
The 2-2 pitch from Talent.
I've been fairly critical of the Cardinals' defensive ability this year. There really are not a lot of Gold Glovers on this team. However, the defense really has not caused a lot of losses. You can't look back at a lot of games and say, well, there's a big 4-error game, that's why they lost. Making a lot of routine plays. You haven't seen a lot of errors 7th, 8th, 9th inning with the game on the line. And you've seen some of the players playing out of position that are just raking offensively, and so we're tending to overlook that. I still think defense matters, but it hasn't hurt him as much as I might have thought it would.
So Cruz, who is normally a catcher, you got Alan Craig trying to learn that position at second base. Terrio has played both shortstop and second in his career. Chased the ball on 3-2. And a ground ball taken by Pujols, race to the bag, out.
And that's precisely the kind of play that Brian Talent got hurt on. Getting a feed from Albert Pujols. They're talking it over. Things are a little better this time. No injury. Talent covering first base. And he might have been safe. Very close play. But Talent dove towards the bag on a similar play, and he is out. Good call. Very good call.
In Arizona, and it was his non-pitching hand that was broke. So here's Brandon Crawford.
I wonder if he had visions of that as he was.
I would think he would have to, don't you?
Running to cover the bag, absolutely. Not again, not again, not again.
7-2 San Francisco. That missed low. Cardinals will have Talent spot coming up, then the top of the lineup. They're down by 5 runs. It feels like 25.
You're absolutely right.
In the air out to left center. Colby Rasmus over and makes the catch. So far so good here with his bullpen. Talent a scoreless inning. Garner, 6 innings, 6 hits, and 2 earned runs. He's still in the ball game. Kyle McClellan, 4 innings, and the bullpen has done a good job with 3 scoreless. And then you have the big blast in this game. Andres Torres has 1 hit, but it's a grand slam back in the 4th. Bumgarner fairly fluid when you watch him pitch, and you talked about it before, the definition of sneaky quick.
Yeah, he kind of rushes it up there and kind of hard to get the timing down from the plate. Look at the numbers of Bumgarner. The 2 runs that he's given up were a bit of a gift as well. Cardinals got a break on a ball that Alan Craig hit down the left field line. It looked on the replay as if it was foul, but it ended up leading to the 2 Cardinal runs that they scored in the 3rd inning. John Jay will lead it off.
What a month John Jay has had.
Oh, and you know what I like is at-bats against left-handers too. Very solid at-bats.
17 for 41 on the road trip, including a 2-run homer yesterday. Bumgarner makes the play for the first out. Alan Craig, John Jay on that 6-3 road trip.
Great numbers from a couple of young guys, both hitting over 400. Craig driving in 5 runs to go along with it. John Jay making some great plays defensively, whether it was in right field or left.
2 guys with 4 first names combined. John Jay, Alan Craig. Wow. Now Ryan Theriot.
That is deep.
Well, when you have a game that's 7-2, you think about various things. The bullpen, while it hasn't been spectacular, the results have been here in this ball game with Bautista and now Talent. Next time you want to catch a Cardinals game, head to StubHub. You'll find the seats you want and the freedom to choose where you'd like to sit. StubHub, the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the Cardinals. And what you mean by that, Rick, is that Bautista came in, he got the first 2, then he walked the next 3. He strikes out Bumgarner, gets out of the inning. Next inning, 1-2-3. Then in the 7th, leadoff walk, 1-2-3 after that.
But the walks are the reason that you made the comment it feels like a 25-run deficit instead of just a 5-run deficit. They gave up a lot of base runners and kind of slowed the pace a bit, but still were able to put the zeros up on the board.
I don't know if you've noticed, but Miguel Bautista, not the quickest worker we've ever seen wear a Cardinal uniform.
No, that would be Jake Westbrook, I think.
He is the quickest.
The slowest worker that we've had over the years has been Jeff Suppan, with runners on in scoring position especially. He would go into the four corners, put Phil Ford right in the middle of the floor, kind of spread it out like Dean Smith used to do in the old Tar Heels.
No shot clock.
No. That's why it's America's favorite pastime. Game without a clock. Yes, there are other important sports in our country, but this is a game you can kind of come here and get lost in.
The 2-1 pitch. Craig with a pair of doubles today. The 2-2.
Probably the last inning for Bumgarner, so we will see that Giant bullpen. Some action already for Bruce Bochy. Pretty solid outing for the left-hander.
Pujols is on deck. And the 3-2 pitch to Craig. We talked about it, his lack of run support in his starts, but yet quality starts just about every time out. And this lefty has given the Giants a chance to win.
Well, in the end, that's what your job is. Ramon Ramirez is the right-hander listening. You can't control really what your offense does, except when you're hitting.
It's sharply to short. That sends us to the 8th. It's 7-2 San Francisco. This will be his 22nd appearance with a record of 2-1. 19 strikeouts to 8 walks, no home runs allowed, and opponents have hit .230 against him.
And I like the strikeout walk ratio for Jason Mott. There were times last year where he had little issues with control, and that kind of came and went. But for the most part, he's been good out of the Cardinal bullpen, throwing more strikes than not. Nice crowd here at Busch Stadium, hoping for a big Cardinal comeback. And we've seen a few of those already this year, so it just might happen.
Pat Burrell is moved to the on-deck circle. He'll be the pinch hitter for Bumgarner. Walk away with a win, which would be his second of the year. He would go to 2-6 as you see the shadows just about at the rubber of the pitching mound. Fastball in there for a strike. Giants about hit the Cardinals 7-6. Big difference in this game. Torres A grand slam back in the fourth after a walk to the pitcher. Saw it Mott the road trip. Looked like Rick trying to incorporate that cutter a little bit more.
And getting a little more confidence in it. You could tell by the counts that he was throwing it. Trying to get some outs with it. There he throws one 0-2. You know, really, he's always had a little cutter, a little slider, but having it and having command of it are two different things.
Right. And where you throw it in the count.
Exactly. I mean, if you're just showing it to somebody and you throw 98 miles an hour and you show me a little slider once in a blue moon, they're going to lay off that pitch. They're just going to leave it alone. They're going to just look dead red and not worry about that pitch because you won't throw it with 2 strikes. But if you start throwing it with 2 strikes or in a 2-2 pitch, let's say, now you've got me thinking about 2 speeds, 2 locations, and hitting's a lot tougher.
The 2-2 pitch to Whiteside, who was walked, grounded out, struck out.
Again, small strike zone all day long.
The 3-2, foul back. It is a sellout today, 40,849, 40,849. And again, dynamically priced tickets for tomorrow. $18 in the bleachers, $9 terrace level seats. Berkman, one away. So Bumgarner, he is through 7 innings. Gives up 6 hits and only 2 runs.
And just a couple of walks on that small strike zone.
Strikes out 5.
Pretty powerful guy to have off the bench, Pat Burrell.
Longtime Philly, then Tampa Ray. A pitch at 96. Well, they called him Pat the Bat when he came out of Miami. Terrific college career. 2-0. .104 pitches for Bumgarner. 70 were strikes.
It had a little bit on it right there. 96 miles an hour. Got the top of the knees. All pitchers not getting the bottom of the knee in this game, so you got to bring it up just a tad. 97. Burrell didn't like that call.
Burrell is only hitting .236, but tremendous power. 6 home runs. Rather 5 home runs and 13 RBIs on the outside corner. Strikeout of Pat Burrell.
Burrell could have phoned that at bat in. He'd take the bat off his shoulder right on the outside corner. 97. Climb the ladder with him. So far so good for Jason Mott. Bumgarner looking like a pitcher that doesn't really want to be out of this game. Doesn't really have a choice, though, does he?
No. His afternoon is through. Very good. Again, 7 innings, 6 hits, only 2 runs. 0-2 the count on Torres, who rips it into right field. Berkman won't get it, and that'll go to the wall.
Torres will stop at second base. Two-out double extends the inning to Tejada. Again, get online, follow the game through Game Connect on FoxSportsMidwest.com. Presented by Jack in the Box, a true second screen experience. You can follow stat trends for players, interact via Twitter, keep up with the game action in real time. It's all at FoxSportsMidwest.com. The 1-0 pitch to Tejada. Miguel today with a pair of base hits. One of those an RBI single back in the third to bring in Bumgarner. He's also grounded out to second and grounded to third. Two balls and one strike. Before this ball game this afternoon, get a look at the lowest run support in the National League. Only Mosley of San Diego was below Bumgarner. Narveson, Stauffer, and Latos, so 3 of the 5 from San Diego. 2-1 popped up right side. Pujols is over and makes a fine catch. Nice play in foul territory. Baseball today is brought to you by Smooth Bush Beer and Easy Drinking Bush Light. By Bank of America, where ATM deposits are as easy as an infield fly. No deposit slip, no envelope with Bank of America. Member FDIC. And by AT&T. The Medal of Honor, Memorial Day. We celebrate here at Busch Stadium. This far, a rough afternoon for the Cardinals. They trail 7-2. It'll be Pujols, Holiday, and Berkman. And a right-hander, Ramon Ramirez. 23rd appearance of the year is into the ball game for San Francisco. Bumgarner, 7 innings, 6 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, and he struck out 2. Pujols has an RBI base hit to right. That RBI is 29th of the year. It's grounded to short and also popped out in foul territory. First pitch taken for a ball up and in. Albert out to deep left center field. To the track, to the wall, and it's gone.
Must be May 30th. Albert Pujols has hit home runs in 5 straight years on the 30th of May. This ball carries. We talked about how the ball was carrying today, Dan. And boy, that's a sight we just love to see, isn't it?
421 feet distance of that home run. Strike at the knees to Holiday. First run for the Cardinals since back in the 3rd. Cuts the lead to 7-3. Holiday with a base hit. He's grounded out to short, grounded out to 3rd.
And I'm still surprised that he's still in this game.
One and 2 the count. Nobody out here in the bottom of the 8th. Just joined us. The big blast in this game off the bat of Andres Torres. Grand slam back in the 4th. 1-2 pitch to Holiday.
I'd like to pick up 1 or 2 more runs in this 8th inning, Dan, and make the 9th exciting. You just need a base runner to send the tying runner to the plate. Berkman, Rasmus, Molina. That sounds like a run to me. But Lance has struggled a bit at the plate today. A couple of flyouts and a strikeout in the 6th. Not many games this year where he hasn't picked up a knock, though.
Milwaukee will play later against Cincinnati. So if you take care of business, you're separating yourself from one of those 2 teams. The 1-1 pitch. That'll find the seats out of play.
Lance looks just a little bit jumpy at the plate today. We haven't seen much of that out of him all year long, but when he's right, he's just so quiet at the plate, just kind of doesn't really do much, just very still, then lets the bat come through the zone. Almost a function of maybe not seeing the ball as well today, which there are some days you just don't see the ball as well.
Rick, there are times when we watch him in the middle of an at-bat. He'll get 2 strikes on him and he looks terrible, and then he'll knock one out of the ballpark.
Willie McGee was the best I ever saw at that.
1-2 pitch. Berkman with a high fly ball into left center. Will stay in the ballpark, and the catch is made by Torres. And this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. So 2 outs, and here is Colby Rasmus. Colby today is grounded out, walked in, also flied out to right.
already had 8 walks in the game, and I'm not sure we can blame all of that on the tight zone of Andy Fletcher behind the plate.
Two-0 pitch. 3-0. Three and one to count. Next to Colby. And he walked him. Home run, then he got the next 2. Walk to Colby Rasmus. This will be Molina. Rigetti out to visit. You get a look there at David Freese, and we're hoping sooner than later for him to come back.
Yeah, I'd love to have him back. Such a solid third baseman and another power bat in that lineup. Cardinals missed him last year when he went down, but this year, after he went down, others have filled in quite nicely. I know those folks. T. West hard at work. Chatting it up with my wife and Kristen with the Cardinals. They're just trying to get on TV.
It's good to see that in Colorado over the weekend. Our good buddy that we work with, Keith Oberman, somehow was able to catch a camera.
Is that right?
Yeah, and he was on one of the telecasts over the weekend, but always good to see him and what he brings to the telecast, and made it to the other side of the lens on camera. That's it out of play for strike 1.
Bloop and a blast, Dan. That's all you need. That's what that youngster wants, a bloop and a blast. Come on, Mom. Rally caps. Nobody really does that anymore, do they? The old rally caps. When's the last time you saw that? They still do
yesterday, actually.
Did you see that yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday it was.
Been
just
a long
bunch
time.
of them, too. I don't know where you were, but
there's one. Now it's today. It was a staple at the college level, seeing how many ways you could wear your hat to create the appropriate karma to score runs. As if you could control it by that means.
Superstitious game.
No doubt.
1-2 the count. Molina has singled and walked today, also popped out.
And a great offensive year going for Yadier Molina. Without Posey, who's a better catcher in the National League right now?
Flip to second. That sends us to the ninth. It's 7-3. Pujols is homered here today.
In St. Louis, coming up after the game on the post-game edition of Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live. Pat Paris, Rick Horton, Al Roboski will all be on hand. What went wrong for Kyle McClellan? They'll break that down inside Ryan Terrio's hitting streak. And, of course, we'll have Tony TV as well. Jason Mott stays on to pitch for the Cards as we go back to the booth. And Dan and Rick, guys.
Okay, Jim, thanks. Pete Kozma is into the ball game. Kozma at second base. And Craig goes to left.
I think this may be good, Dan, for Jason Mott to get to work on that secondary pitch. Get a second inning of work. You've already had a good, clean eighth. Dave Duncan always has a watchful eye, no matter what the score.
Off the end of the bat, Pujols will take it. And Sanchez retired.
Always making notes, always evaluating, always trying to get that edge for his pitcher. He's been at this a long time.
Well, you had Batista pitch the 5th and the 6th. Talent the 7th, and Mott will go an inning and a third of scoreless baseball.
Things righted here. He has had some games where he's had a hard time throwing strikes, and his job really to get left-handers, and had a good last outing, and certainly has had some good years out of the bullpen from the left side. A veteran, knows his job, just trying to get it right. We want to send special wishes to Dottie Smith, who's watching our telecast today. We wish her well and wish her a very happy Memorial Day. Hopefully you're having a good weekend.
0-1 the count here on Aubrey Huff. The Yankees beat the Oakland A's. Bartolo Colon picks up the win. What a story he has been for the New York Yankees. Shallow left field. Terrio going out, called off by Craig. 2 away.
That's the job of a reliever. You come in, you throw a good pitch, you get an out, you think, wow, this is easy. Then some days it's just not. You go weeks on end without being able to make the right pitch in the right situation. Miller doesn't always get a chance to face right-handers, but he does here in Cody Roth. When he pitches to right-handers, he comes on top just a little bit more and will use his changeup a little bit more and his slider less. Tries to get that movement going away Stays on top a little bit more. That one came back over the heart of the plate a bit. But the count in his favor.
One ball and 2 strikes.
It's kind of a strange thing, Dan, when you actually have a different delivery to a right-handed batter than you do to a left. You got to be a certain kind of pitcher that understands your own mechanics and what you do to be able to handle that. And you come up on top more. He's not a full sidearm guy against left-handers, but he definitely comes down lower than he does against right-handers. You just think about the muscle memory of that. I equate a lot of things to golf because I guess I understand the game. I know how hard it is, but it's a little bit like having 2 different golf swings. How does that work?
Be tough.
Yeah. One's hard enough.
It is. Strikeout from Miller. Bullpen been very good today. Budweiser, player of the game, 2 for 4 with a grand slam and a double. 7-3 in favor of San Francisco.
Just not enough offense from the Cardinals standpoint. One more shot at the Giants, and they'll do it against Sergio Romo. He's the 3rd Giant pitcher of the afternoon. He's become a very good setup man for Brian Wilson. And he has pretty electric stuff from the right side. 27 strikeouts. 27 strikeouts in 15 innings. I'd call that electric. In his 23rd game of the season, he's going to try to shut the door. The Cardinals have managed 7 hits. The home run by Pujols in the 8th inning, the most exciting of them all. A couple of doubles in the 3rd, but beyond that, not enough Cardinal offense. And the grand slam early has really put him in a hole.
Now Tony Cruz. Memorial Day spent here at the ballpark. We thank all our veterans for allowing us to enjoy a day of baseball. 0-1 pitch to Cruz, make it 0-2. On deck, Schumacher.
Well, the Giants only had one base hit after that grand slam in the fourth.
Cardinals had some control issues out of the bullpen, but for the most part, a very good job. There's a look at Brian Wilson. Unmistakably, that's Brian Wilson.
I'm going to say hard to miss him. Figure out who that is.
Just who is that right-hander? Although Romo was kind of going for that same look early in the season. I'd like to see you look like that, Dan, one day.
Won't happen. I can tell you, it's impossible. With beard like that.
Now, Al would have taken Al is one. I like it.
Al could do that.
Brian Wilson is kind of the modern day Al Hrabosky in some ways, isn't he?
And for people that don't get enough of you during the game, you're coming up on the post game with Al.
Can't wait.
Let the two lefties go at it. Couple of jabs. And Cruz strikes out.
Well, we'll have Pat Parris in the middle. Make sure we don't duke it out too much.
He'll be ducking. Big left hook from Pungo. You go with the right. A couple of lefties on the post game. I like it.
I can see it now.
Here's Skip Schumacher. Apparently our producer Mike Helling has also volunteered to stay for the post game too. Help out our buddy Max Linewan. There's two away, so Mike and Rick will be part of the post game coming up.
I'll certainly be looking at the day of Andres Torres and breaking down the start of Kyle McClellan. Not his best start, actually his worst start of the season. And we'll break down what that was all about. Although if he's going to have one bad start out of 10 all year long, I think Tony La Russa would take that.
Yes. Yes, he would. How much do you think the strike zone had an impact on McClellan today?
Well, it didn't help. I mean, it's more than that, but it didn't help.
Just seemed like he was pitching from behind an awful lot.
Well, the numbers don't lie about that. Of what the batting average is throughout baseball on different counts, it's just really a very intriguing number. Players become 350 to 400 hitters as the count gets in their advantage, batting around 200 or less on 0-2 and 1-2 counts.
And an 0-2 pitch here to Ryan Theriot. Cardinals down to their final strike. The 1-2. Theriot spoils it.
You always look for positives, though, Dan. Albert's home run, he had a couple hits in this game, an RBI in the third inning, the home run in the eighth. Good job of the Cardinal bullpen, particularly Jason Mott. I thought he threw the ball very well.
The rally caps.
The rally caps. Full house here at Busch Stadium. Maybe the best news.
Second sellout of the year. Giants, by the way, have sold out every game coming off their championship run. A 2-2 pitch. And Romo here can just take his time. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Make sure he's comfortable. And the 2-2. Theriot with a fly ball into center, and this will do it. The Giants
take game one of the 4-game series. 7-3 our final here this afternoon.
We always want to remember Memorial Day. This might be a game you might want to forget.